And that was the nucleus of the hot rodders at high school.
A hot rod usually starts out as a clunker. To the uninitiated, that's probably what all hot rods seem. Sway-back jalopies ready for the automotive version of the glue factory.
Every cent you could generate working part-time in a gas station or at a parts house or being a box boy or delivering papers or whatever went into that car.
A teenager could buy an old wreck for as little as $25. 32 Ford Roadsters, Model A's, and T's were all popular. Hot rodders became modern-day Dr. Frankensteins, resurrecting jalopies from the dead, with parts collected from junkyards and speed shops. The idea was not to restore the cars to their original condition, but to build creations that were lighter in weight and fast.
The cars could be very crude on the outside, but you lift the hood, and there was a gleaming full-race flathead and an idle that, if you knew what to listen for, was obviously this was a fast car.
To the non-hot rodder, the steps involved in souping up an engine sounded like a secret recipe in a lost language.
Those were the days of the 283, the flathead.
If you had a flathead, you wanted to put an Arden conversion on it in 3.2s.
Add the nitrous to it on the side, put dual quads on.
Get into the engine and bore 30 over.
Change the carburation, change the injection.
It was like a male competition type thing. You know, who had the best car, who could put the most stuff on it.
They were rebels without applause, unsung geniuses, whose influence would reach all the way to Detroit. While most hot rodders built for go, there were some who built for show. They were known as customizers, and their cars were all about image. Custom cars were chopped to lower the roof and channeled to bring the body closer to the ground. The idea was to upstage the assembly line cars that Mom and Dad drove, with cars that were one of a kind.
Rock and roll was just emerging in a very big way, and Elvis came along and everything else, so it was absolutely rebellious. But it was a refined rebellion in a sense. We always felt we were making things better.
California customizers added metal flecks to their paints to create colors like tangerine flake and candy apple red. And they decked out their interiors in elaborate tuck and roll upholstery, which could be done for as little as $100 across the Mexican border in Tijuana.
You know, the guys who had the custom cars, they were using those as love chariots.
That was usually the one who was going to be most popular and get the most girls, right? The guy, Jimmy, I was telling you about that had the Mercury, it'd be 5 or 6 women in the car, and he'd be just driving us around because the car was jazzy, And we wanted to be seen in it. Yeah.
If you wanted to talk the talk, walk the walk, you turned to a quirky new publication from California called Hot Rod Magazine. Here were stories on the latest developments in cams, carbs, and free-flow exhausts. How-to articles on turning a Model A into a highboy roadster, or doing engine transplants that turned Fords into Fordilacs. The magazine became a publishing sensation, and hot rodder Gray Baskerville eventually became its senior editor.
I think the initial print run was 5,000. Hell, within a couple of years, it was over 100,000, and by the middle of the 50s, Hot Rod Magazine was worldwide.
You got any of your old Hot Rod magazine?
Oh, I've got some.
The Black Hawk Rod and Custom Club in Oregon, Illinois, is holding its first meeting in 37 years.
And
I mowed a lot of yards to buy these magazines.
Out there at all anyway.
The only thing I remember is Roger Kelly and I almost drove through that brick wall into the industrial arts room there with a 35 Ford and mechanical brakes that wouldn't work.
I had gotten into the hot rod thing, you know. I had a very nice Model A Ford. From reading hot rod magazines and things like that, you knew what had to be done to it, so the first thing you did was take the fenders off. And you started to make changes, and you kept going at it until you'd taken the whole car apart and end up with a whole different concept.
You remember your jackets? Hey, those are good old days.
Yes, it was. When you were wearing that, they knew who you were anyway.
Yeah. And Jerry, you was probably wait. You had one.
Oh yeah, all the mothers in town would point you out and say, "Stay away from him."
Yeah. You'll grow up to be like that.
Anybody with that jacket.
Yeah, stay away from that guy.
I remember street racing when you were going 100 miles an hour down a street. Yeah, that was a rush. Tremendous rush, especially if you were ahead.
You pull up somebody at the light and they got a hot car, you got a hot car, next thing you know you're racing. It's simple as that. I mean, there was nothing pre-planned or anything, you know. You're just driving down the street looking for races back then.
One time we had somebody come to Byron Drive around and look for me. You know, we're looking for that girl that drives that big car that thinks she's so fast. And I'm like, oh, well, here I am, you know. Well, we got started, and this guy was going to play games like he was going to ram his car into my car. No dents in my car. So we pushed the gas down, we were gone. I don't think they ever came back to town again. It was one of those things, well, don't think we'll have any more kids back for a while. You know, they'll go home and say, boy, that girl's really fast.
Here, and I'm going in the second here, right behind him, and he shifts in the third here, and he's still pulling me, and I thought, oh, this guy's gonna whip me. And finally I stabbed him in the third. I'm going, and I'm doing 110 in third gear. And we ran into a fog bank.
He's trying to prove something, but what I don't know.
Hot rodders were starting to get a reputation. Bad boys with ducktail haircuts, blue dot taillights, and bad attitudes.
Whatever you think he's kidding, I can pass that pile of junk in low gear.
Kids in fast cars were being portrayed as a major threat to 1950s law and order.
Crash, 45th and High. 2 hot rodders. Street racing. Real hopped-up death trap. Plain luck, no innocent people were killed.
How many times have I told you to stay out of those hot rods?
80 miles an hour on a city street is very serious, Mr. Simpson. You'll have to appear with him.
The media tended to exaggerate the danger, and Hollywood stunt drivers made a day's pay recreating it. But racing on public streets was beginning to claim lives. Something had to be done.
This is drag racing, the country's fastest growing organized sport.
Hundreds of abandoned military airstrips were converted into drag strips. Making it happen was the National Hot Rod Association, formed in 1951 specifically to end teenage street racing.
It got them off the street and onto the strip, which was one of their slogans. And another one was dedicated to safety. All these things were pioneered for the express purposes of legitimizing hot rodding so it would not be banned.
In the beginning, most hot rodders were happy to run the strip at 100 miles an hour, all for a trophy and a kiss from the local beauty queen. Some rodders mixed ordinary pump gas with nitro and methane into a high-speed witch's brew. In the years to come, when rods cost $100,000 and speeds hit 300 miles per hour, the real problem became how to slow down.